Okay, my friends, we are back, and this is the first turn, well actually turn 2, so we can actually see what's happening, of the Disciples game I was talking about, where I am playing with Phaonix and Baal and Stalin, with Phaonix playing Therados and Baal and Stalin playing Atlantis, and I of course am off-screen playing Pelagia. This video was going to be a return to my Ulm series, but I went back over that recording as I was getting ready to post it, and decided that, you know what, it was a bit meh, and I'm going to redo it. I don't like posting stuff that I'm not a fan of. If there's like one or two corrections that I need to put in a video, that's fine. It can go up with something in the comments, but if it's not quality and the sound's not right, or the observations just aren't on point, or if it's boring, then I'm going to trash it and start again. So instead, we're doing the first few turns of this more exciting game. Turn 2, very exciting. We're going to set the scene, basically. The good, the bad, the ugly of the underwater meme team. For those of you who can't remember, this is a team consisting of early age Pelagia, who are not good, early age Atlantis, who are pretty good, and Scales non-pop kill, no ghost spawning Therados, which is awful. And together we are the Underwater Bastards, aka the Base Salty Boys, aka the Underwater Meme Team. Here to observe our superpowered neighbours go at each other's throats and then hopefully maintain some relevance into the end game. Spawns. Let's go about the good and the bad. Good first. It's Therados and Atlantis that have spawned in the main pool. This map has one small pond and one big pond. The worst thing that could have happened to us is if Therados had been isolated off in a pond by themselves. Atlantis is by far the most powerful nation on our team in that they are actually a useful country. So having Therados, who will struggle because they won't have their ghosts and they can't recruit ordinary troops underwater, so are limited to their starting army and recruitable cap sacreds, for whom we do not have an intimidating Awake Bless, unlike many people I will assume, and who start with half population in their capital, and so half income, so they get 173 income from their capital, which kind of sucks. Therados would have really struggled, and in our tests, Therados really struggled in the small pond by itself. The best scenario probably would have been if either Therados and me in the big pond, and then Atlantis fending by itself, with us secure and sending him cash, or in this scenario, Atlantis is there to shield Therados, and I'm off by myself, and I'm probably going to be the one who needs money infusions just to exist. That's good news. Other good news, there's clear expansion paths available for most of these guys. So Balan's going to prioritize this little militia province here, which he knows has a good amount of gold. There's some weak underwater provinces around here. Stronger one here, which is, okay. This does give him a route up towards our primary early objectives. This map assumes that every player will get 13 or 14 provinces. We have less than 9 each underwater, so we have to factor coastal enclaves into our expansion plans to be anything like even. So it's important for us to figure out where our landfalls are going to be, and cap circle provinces like this one, and possibly this one, except for the fact it's in Saramatia's cap circle, that's definitely a bad point, are going to be really important to us. Therados too, who had a relatively weak starting army, starts with a nice little coastal situation here. These 3 provinces, all within 2 of their cap circle. One shark tribe, but it seems like a small shark tribe province, but ichthyids that they can break through to their right, with a throne to sort of shield that pathway of expansion. So what can happen is Therados should be able to quite easily kill this archer light infantry small province here. The small PD does mean it'll probably not be very valuable, but they'll at least get on land, they'll train up some more sacreds, and then hopefully they can eventually clear 37 and 36, thus creating their little ring, and then clear the water. And that will be Therados' nice little defensible position here, partially protected by mountains and a throne. Between them is this little peninsula down here, which in our testing is the most likely location for us to make up the last of our basic province allocation of land provinces. Getting to this water province is sort of included in our mental chart of the provinces we need. So we need to work up there. And of course we need a way across this land bridge so that our team can send mages into each other's lakes, so that we can exchange control of provinces if we need to, and so that we can site search each other's lands. So all that's relatively good. Their positioning, the PD that's available to them. Let's talk about the bad for these guys, and let's go over to me because my situation is downright hilarious. Bad news 1 is that Saramatia is right here, but that's okay. Saramatia's got a nice big cap ring. This province here is further away from Saramatia and protected by this throne, so there's very little chance for a bump unless there's a bad guy, like literally. No, it's unless there is a capital here, and we know there is not. This province is fine unless they blind expand at turn 1. So this is a safe expand for Stalin, but still uncomfortable being that close. But I think a lot of people will be that close, and at least he's got this big expansion route out this way, and he can probably poach these provinces here, maybe something along the coast, depending on what's along here. I'm not too worried about that. The bad news for Theranos, there isn't really much. Amber Clan, I believe, have magic weapons. We'll check that later, which will eat his ghosts alive. But he has a limited supply of ghosts. He's got 20-something ghosts in his starting army, and that's pretty much all he's going to ever have. He can reanimate 1 per turn with his starting E4. So yeah, this is going to be a living Theranos run. Yeah, that's that. All in all, that's a pretty good situation. Let's go check in on Pelagia. Oh my god. Like seriously, like shit. So I ran this test time and time again. The odds of let's go over the problems first, and then let's talk about the odds. The first problem is that there are Shark Tribe Tritons in 225. 225 is my only way, other than going over land, to get into the rest of the part of my lake, which is obviously part of my land allocation. I can't exist without taking the entire lake. If Pelagia can't take its lake, there's a problem. There are 225 reported Shark Tribe. In 225, there are 30 reported Shark Tribe. That means there could be up to 50% more than that. So you get a 50% variety either way. So there could be 60 Shark Tribe there. There could be as few as 20 Shark Tribe there. But I don't know. The problem is that the average Pelagian can't actually tangle with Shark Tribe. In fact, Shark Tribe are a recruitable unit for early age Pelagia. There is no functional difference between these units and the recruitable units that I pay 10 gold for in my capital, like this. Unfortunately, they are aquatic and prone to high attrition, but the Shark Warrior is actually a pretty decent unit to fight among independents because it has 3 attacks, it goes berserk, and it actually has a little bit of protection. So they're very killy. They're very deadly to the Pelagian starting army, which consists almost entirely of unarmored Pelagians. The Turtle Tribe Tritons have protection 7, and the Pelagian soldiers have protection 1. Exactly the sort of profile that gets them absolutely tuned apart by Shark Tribe. At the same time, I can't really get out this way because there's more Shark Tribe in 232. So for this turn, I blind recruited some aquatics last turn because I wanted to balance out. My recruitment. So I have the starting army, and then I recruited a mixture of Triton Riders, who are the precursor to the Knights of the Deep. They're not sacred, but they are relatively affordable, and more importantly, they cost lots of recruitment points and very few resources, which means you can balance them with your resource-heavy troop, which is what I'm really going to be wanting. My entire expansion is pretty much going to depend on the Turtle Warrior. The Turtle Warrior is not good, but he's what I've got. Turtle Warrior is a merman with a coral-tipped javelin and a spear, and he's got 10 protection, and that's his big claim to fame, that and being amphibious, so he's what I've got. So I recruited extra starting commanders because my starting commanders cannot go on land, and I'm going to take my army and I'm going to go expand it to 235 because I need a province. In the meantime, I'm going to recruit more units, but I don't actually think I can force the Shark Tribe. Instead, I'm going to have to recruit Turtle Warriors, bring back my Turtle Warriors, and then I'm going to have to expand into these provinces. This is a problem because if I'm going to have to go around the Shark Tribe, if I'm going to have to go around them and establish my enclaves, T1-4's right here. And the problem is his cap circle overlaps with my cap circle, just like Barwin's does. But the difference here is, in this case, this province is mission critical. It's weak enough that I can take it, and it's on the route that I need in order to get into the rest of my lake, and indeed just to secure my expansion in general. So I don't know how, but I am going to have to convince T1-4 that they should sell me these provinces, or let me have them. So really, it's going to be a heck of a deal to cut. It's going to have to be based on respecting each other's borders, and I'm going to have to do it without being too threatening because the elves are strong, and also I hate threats. And if you make a threat, follow through on it. And there's no, I don't want to follow through on it. I don't want to fight a hell war against the elves. The only thing that comforts me is the fact that I can make his life exceptionally, excruciatingly difficult by just sitting in my cap circle and going bang, 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 all along his coast eventually, and then running away and hiding and forcing him to either keep garrisons here or just accept the raiding. Neither of which is palatable to him. So hopefully we can come to a deal which allows me to take this route out of here. So I'll recruit a bunch more Turtle Warriors this turn. I'll probably also recruit a Nick-tiered Mage. We'll see. I'll check the resource count. And I will expand north. Then I'm probably going to have to expand, depending on what agreements we come to, I'm going to have to expand left or right on land because these Shark Tribe provinces aren't doable even with Triton Knights, at least not with that incredibly heavy attrition. And who knows what's around here. You don't start with a... you only have one scout, and I've sent it on land, and I don't intend to waste commander turns making another. I sent this one here to check what... so I could send this out and check what's going on here. I think instead I'm going to pipe it left to see what's in these provinces around it. You'll notice that these provinces, which I might have some chance at, are wastelands. Yay. So gold income for Pelagia, not big on the horizon. Anyway, it's not a superb start. In terms of intelligence on who started where, I'm going to jump forward a turn and talk through what we know at around maybe turn 4, to give you the picture of the teams as I've discussed them and gathered information, and we can sort of work out our grander strategy from there. But for the now, I'm going to flick over to turn 3. Alright, turn 3, and ladies and gentlemen, it is another capital! Hooray! This is Pangaea. So, let's talk about the world of Pelagia first, then we can go talk about my allies and friends. So, Pangaea is here. Pangaea is here. So this is Team Ice Ice Baby is present right here in my ring, and you can see is already vomiting Killer Frost's Dominion all over my lake. The reason it's vomiting Dominion all over my lake is because that is an awake statue of fertility. So, calling it now, that'll be NB, so that'll be... there'll be regen in it, and then a fire shock resist, or like some sort of earth component in that. Regen. Regen's going to work well for them, if I think about it. It works least well for Pan, but the White Centaurs don't need the help too much. They'll regen 3 HP per turn, which is good, but their allies are going to get much better use out of it. So the Russians, through their, where are they? Chewed Skin Shifters, when they shape, they'll get the regen, 2 regen naturally, which is almost as good as the Centaurs, but then when they shape change into the Sacred Bears, or if they summon the Sacred Bears, those will get the regen on their much higher hit point pools, which is great. And of course, regen Giants is just a thing that everyone does. This is a Nephil Giant, it has 69 hit points, it will regenerate 7 HP per round. While in cold environments, having really good protection, being tough, freezing everyone. If you pay 140 gold for a unit, you want some return, you get that return with Nephil troops, at least in the early game against certain enemy types. So Pangaea is there, and they have an Awake Pretender, which means they've got an Incarnate Bless active, which means the White Centaurs already have regen, plus whatever else, so, and probably resistances to fire and shock, as I said, or something cool like that, so... there is no question of tangling with White Centaurs. A few White Centaurs would demolish all the Turtle Warriors you can think of. Meanwhile, we expanded into a province that turned out to have 19 income and nothing special about it. So, what did we send in? Just a mixture of our riders and our infantry. We sent the cavalry first quite deliberately, hoping that even with the harassment penalty, their defense would save them, and then the much more squishy infantry would come in, fill the space around them, and in the end, unfortunately, what happens is we did lose one of the cavalrymen. In testing, we didn't lose any, so we got a little bit unlucky there. So the total losses actually turned out to be 2 Triton Riders and 3 Turtle Tribe Tritons. Don't care about these as much. Losing that's 80 gold. That's 100 gold for this province. It'll pay itself back in 5 turns, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So they're going to come back to the capital at this point. Meanwhile, we've recruited more turtle boys, and we're going to recruit even more this turn. We have also put eyes on Tina Nog's Awake Pig. So Team Elf, which is Tinanog, Arcosafali, and Vanheim, also have Awake Incarnate Blesses. So that's terrifying. That's genuinely terrifying. Our god's not going to wake up for a couple of turns yet in the case of our mini boys, and some more time after that in the case of Stalin, who is the pretender in this one. It is Atlantis itself that is the pretender. Great. What have I turned off there? I've turned off Dominion. Let's turn it back on. So that's great. Fortunately, I can rely somewhat on the fact that no one wants to be raided by the underwater gang. And I think most people have a pretty realistic grasp of our ability to actually be a threat to win, which is that I think every team except for the Ice Babies has pretty much agreed that we are not a threat to win, but we're also a bit of a pain to deal with. So let's just say the diplomacy is going to go into overdrive this turn to secure my expansion routes by bargaining away the one thing we do have, which is the promise of the ability to be annoying, and also the offering of intelligence. And one thing we have lots of as a water nation is intelligence, because we have huge borders. Eventually we're going to border a significant portion of the map, something like a third or a quarter of the map we will border directly from the water. So that happened. Meanwhile, my allies, the Theodosians, moved on to land. There was a surprise mage here, but they killed it, lost of one Spectral Peltast and one of their cap-only Curate Sacreds. Theranos can't recruit anything but the cap-only Curate Sacreds at the moment, so they'll work with what they've got. The good thing is they got this province, and they secured a merman village, which allows whoever took it to recruit mermen, who are able to go underwater even if they're crap. So we denied a land nation access to something that can go underwater. Otherwise, unimpressive province. Stalin came on land and got another unimpressive province. He lost 5 Atlantean infantry, killing about 30 independent troops. He identified a group of Bear Tribe warriors, which he thinks he can take. There's also a bunch of Jaguar Tribe down here that he can take, and he could, of course, murder these Ictiads. However, while we can get to these provinces first, our first deal has been struck, or is in the process of being struck, with Saramatia, Hinnom, who is apparently over here, and who are somewhat over there, but we're not sure exactly yet. Anyway, Saramatia is like, we want our land cap circle because you can't draw resources from it. And don't go here because this is in Hinnom's cap circle, apparently. So which puts Hinnom here, probably. Probably here or here. I'm betting here. In exchange, you can have your enclave at 150, 136, and you have to agree that we're not going to be a pain to each other. That works relatively well. However, I haven't actually got a signature on the dotted line, so we're going to get Stalin to pull back just in case we're wrong and Hinnom's expanding into this province, because we don't want to bump. But I think we have an agreement. In fact, I'm pretty confident we will have an agreement that we get 136. At this point, Stalin can go back into the water, grab a province down there, consider breaking out and murdering these Tritons. He will be driving a lot of our early expansion and keeping us in this game. I'm going to jump forward just to turn 4, and that's probably the turn where I can talk about geography, our thinking, and round it up. I just want to get through the first really painful turns of expansion. The first stage of our Turl Warrior driven expansion, because you can see those boys starting to gather in the capital, and then we'll talk like big game picture. All right, it's turn 4, and I have 2 provinces. I'm good at dominions. Let's talk about my allies first, because it's simpler. Then we'll talk about what happened to me, what the plan is, and then we'll talk the big game sort of stuff. So Stalin came back on land. Unfortunately, the deal came through after we had already agreed to pull back. So we are getting this province, but we've pulled back into the water. That said, we found a water gem, but still the income isn't being great. Dark Blue Sea, however, has better income, as does Infinite Sea, so Stalin's going to prioritise moving into those and starting to get us a little bit of gold, because right now we're a bit crap. Theranos threw everything they had at Brightgate. Everything they had is obviously not much. It's ghosts and a couple of curates, and unfortunately, because ordinary independents, which is all we saw, are actually really shit against Therodian ghosts. Like, Therodian ghosts do really well against your ordinary sort of militia and light infantry sort of setup. And this is a militia, light infantry, and slinger setup. However, they also have a war minotaur, who is a high protection berserking trampler, and they have a wizard with gems. However, for some reason that wizard with gems is field-minded. The other one, however, is not. Pretty sure. Yeah, there's the other one that doesn't. So, fire, earth, astral, unfortunate. So this war minotaur is obviously going to be a bit of a problem. Anyway, the Curates, as they always do, when they're blessed, they berserk. So they are charging in 2 to a square because they're bad formation fighters. The war minotaur encounters the hoplites first. He begins trampling. Luckily, Ethereal will protect them from most of that, but they have to completely kill him in order to end his life, which they eventually do. Unfortunately, that leaves the Peltists fighting the militia alone until the hoplites are able to come and assist, and it leads to quite high casualties amongst the Peltists. Meanwhile, the Sacreds run into the back row, murder one of the wizards, get into the slingers. Unfortunately, at this point, he dies to slingers, an embarrassing end to a cap-only Sacred. The slingers actually run out of ammo, and they and the wizard are eventually killed in combat by the ghosts. So, not great. The losses here are quite significant. In particular, the loss of both Curates and 5 of the Peltists, but most of the hoplites, who are the best troops that Theranos has, most of them survive. And in fact, it turns out to be the militia killing the Peltists get most of the kills. The war minotaur has survived. However, the province turns out to be pretty crap. 36 gold for a farmland? Nah. But it's his. It's not perfect, but it's his. None of our provinces so far have been very good, but that's okay. I, however, have now grouped up a reasonable army of 21 turtle warriors, which is enough for me to expand. Again, at least. Not quite enough for me to get into the Shark Tribe just yet. I bounced a scout off the Shark Tribe this turn. There are 32 there. There are more than that there, because this is the lowest the scout report has been. It oscillates above that, so I do not think there are only 30 Shark Tribe there. Pangea, and notably, has 70 Bone Tribe in their cap circle. This would normally be a problem for people. However, this is a Incarnate Bless Pangea with White Centaurs, so this will not be a problem for them. They'll run through that with very little trouble. So, we talked to T1-4, and we talked to the other teams. So, T1-4's team is spaced out like this. Here's T1-4 itself. That's the capital of T1-4. Arcocephali's over here somewhere. Vanheim's over this way. So Vanheim and Sauro are pretty close to each other. Arco's on this flank, and we'll eventually probably have this part of the coast. Maybe T1-4 is the only one actually on the coast, whereas Pangea is up here, and the Ice Baby team is spread out to the north of Pangea. Let's talk about Team Elf first. So Team Elf is incredibly dangerous. They're two elves and Arcocephali. Arcocephali has Wind Riders, and they have an Incarnate Bless. We haven't seen what the Incarnate Bless is yet, but it will no doubt be pretty scary. So tangling with them is unlikely. However, it's almost certain that on their agenda is rush another land nation down and kill them, because we are Mega Bless elves with Arcocephali and air support. So we have to kill someone early. And Disciples games are already pretty rushy because you have more of your borders safe because you border teammates who are on your team and will never betray you because they physically can't. There's no button which would allow them to attack you. So because you have those safer borders and relatively fewer enemies, and you have greater ability to coordinate a guaranteed alliance in an offensive, you're very likely to rush someone. Low on their agenda is be annoyed while they're doing so by watery neighbour. So, I'm going to get this province, Greater Wild, and then I'm going to see, that's just, don't trample me with your boar, I will expand here, boar will keep doing boar's expansion, and then we'll see what I can do with the other provinces. Turtles are pretty shit. These provinces, I will get, including the one that is in his cap circle, in order to allow me to set up an enclave and go around. However, I will pay through the nose. They are expensive. I'm paying a lot more than they're probably worth, at least in the short to medium run. And I have to give him access through later on when he's going to send expansion parties that way so we can take these provinces down here. But it will give me a way out. And because that is now agreed, I can prioritize. I can go this way first, regroup, then go this way at the appropriate juncture, and then clear through the Shark Tribe when I have to. So that is a workable agreement. It took some discussion, but I have to tip my hat to T1-4. There are people in this game who it's difficult to talk to and work with. They are not one of them. Basilius Basil, if you watch this, you're a good bloke, and I appreciate this because it's given me a chance to play the game. Hats off to you. And no, I don't resent you asking me to pay through the nose. I'm in a tough position. I'm early age Pelagia, trying to eke my way on land in Megalith Elves. Like, I appreciate that, and I know you had self-interests because you didn't want to deal with underwater bullshit, which is kind of the reason for existence of our entire team. But nonetheless, I appreciate it. So that's that. Then there's Team Ice Baby, which will also be Blessy and Rushy, because we can see the Awake Pretender, which means they will be looking for someone to kill and to kill early. It also means that whereas in this lake, the good dominion of our that we gained from not being awake, unlike everyone else it seems, and not needing a giant bless, because our sacreds between us either don't exist or suck. Because we didn't need either of those things, we have decent scales, unfortunately, whereas these guys will get them in the lake. I'm going to be surrounded by Awake Pretenders and Prophets that will shit their dominion all over my little lake and ruin it. Because that's what water nations happen. Small lakes suffer from this. You can't keep up dominion in a small lake, not without a lot of preaching, which I'll try, but it'll be hard. Then, let's talk about other teams. So, let's fill in the map. Ice Baby in here. Elves in here. Sauro, Hinnom, running along the coast here. Then we believe, and this is just guessing at this point, Lanka, Fomoria, Yomi, this sort of space, if that makes sense. Which means that Agartha, Beritos, and Machaka will necessarily have to be to the left of Therados. So they'll have to be north of assuming is here, filling in this sort of space. So Ice Baby, Chris's mates, Machaka, Beritos, and Agartha in here, probably Yomi, Lanka, Fomoria, Hinnom and Saro and along here, and Team Elf occupying this space, which makes this sort of area of the map an absolute murder dome. Let's talk about another strategic quirk of this map, and it's something that will, I think, significantly affect how the game is played, and perhaps minimize our outputs. You have to understand, we might be playing this game as observers, basically. This might be me providing commentary while also technically being a player. Because relevance will not come easily to us, and you know what? We don't aspire to intense relevance. We aspire to, getting sort of our basic allotments, eking out what we can, making the best approach we can, but I don't think we're going to try hard to win out of this. I don't think it's possible, given the teams that are built and lined up and the caliber of the players. But even if that wasn't the case, the distribution of thrones means that right off the bat, there is a huge advantage to whoever wants to Thunderdome it in the middle. In particular, Team Ice Baby probably has 2 thrones to start with, and they have a good shot at 3, 4, 5 if they're willing to throw down with Team Elf. In this game, 5 thrones is all you need to win. You can do it with less if you get the 3 pointers. So if Ice Baby secures this throne, which are 100% within their territory, and this one may be within their territory too. It could be that, or it could be Varnheim. Then a defeat of the Elves without defeating anyone else might be enough to win them the game. If you are Team Elf, and you're able to secure that throne, and assuming Hedalas is over here is able to secure that throne, that's 2. This might be Vanheim or it might be Team Ice Baby. 1, 2, 3. A complete victory by the elves over Team Ice Baby would be 4-5. That's a win. And remember, 4 of those could technically be a win if they've got both 3-pointers in that sort of mix. The other thrones are secured by are down here. So this is the only one that falls within sort of our team sphere, and it looks fucking scary. There's a throne here in Sauramacia's cap circle. So if anyone rushes Sauramacia Hinnom, you have to watch that throne in particular. The Machaka Nagarthan Beritian team has a shot at 1, 2, 3 if they're willing, but that requires them and 4. So I can see 4 within range of that team if they're willing to, but that would mean impinging on Team Ice Baby. This one's probably naturally theirs. This might put them in contact with Uruk, maybe the Ice Babies, and this one would be going to Elven territory. So immediately, the 2 teams that have the best throne access, as I see it, early in the game with limited map knowledge, the Elves and the Ice Babies, who also happen to be the rushiest, Awake Bless, Sacred-based, scary mofos on the map. So you've got 2 aggro-ass teams who are in the Thunderdome with all the thrones, ready to go, rearing turn 1. That to me says this could be a short game. It could be short. It could still be a long game if there's some sort of détente, or if there's a balance of power or a hell war, or if the other teams come in to crush, but crush in a way that doesn't give them all the thrones. You don't need... Yeah, you need 5 out of 8. You need a narrow majority. You can technically do it with half if you get both the 3s. So it'll be important to check which thrones are which and count points aggressively from early game. There are not enough teams for this to be a hard game to win territory-wise. You only need to eliminate 1, maybe 2 other teams. I think eliminating 1 and then snaking is probably going to be enough for most teams. It's not for us. We would need to conquer this throne, and then we need to fight either Beratos or Hinnom for that one. Sauramacia, not Hinnom. Actually, yes, Hinnom. Team Beratos or Team Hinnom for that one. Team Hinnom for that one. Possibly Team Lanka for that one, and that only gets us 3. So unless you think Pelagia is going to kill Tir na Nog and the Ice Babies, we're not really in business. We have to fight a war with every team in order to win. So we won't win, because that's not how games tend to pan out, especially not one as fast and rushy as this. I would watch for these 2 teams trying to rush someone down relatively quickly. Probably not each other, but maybe someone else. Then I'd watch for a big war between them in which they both snake thrones, while probably the 2 teams that are on the flanks, Hinnom and Machaka Beratos, try and get enough of the territory in the resulting kerfuffle that they are in a position to then rush themselves. Or it could not play out. If the wars are more balanced and people count and watch and listen to the underwater people who call out throne risks than they are, this might be a longer game, but as it is, it's a recipe for an absolute Thunderdome. Meanwhile, I'll keep making my turtle warriors, and I'm going to send them onto land. See you next time.